Hello and welcome to this video. In this video we're going to look at something completely different and we're going to see how QuickBooks can help your business during COVID-19 and more importantly looking about the future.
Cause I can get him out of my head.
So on this video what we're going to talk about is how to use QuickBooks for thinking long term for your business. My name's Aaron Patrick, I'm a chartered accountant and also a certified UK QuickBooks trainer, and in association with friends at Bofix we've been looking at what clients are getting up to at this moment in time. Now it's interesting to see that the majority of clients have started to pivot in terms of the way that they're thinking about how to deal with this next stage of the lockdown regarding COVID-19. So originally the questions, and rightly so, were all around what sort of schemes will be available, how we're going to keep the business alive, what we can utilise in terms of keeping our clients and our staff all happy. And it's all now pivoted onto, okay, now for short-term wise, we're okay. Short-term wise, we've got ourselves one of the schemes. So it could be the job retention scheme, or it could be the self-employed scheme, or maybe it's one of the business interruption loans. Either way, majority of the clients now are in a position where they can just about see the light at the end of the tunnel. But the problem is, how do they then start bringing their company and bring their business back up to fruition? And this is a really difficult question, and every business is going to be completely different. One of the advantages of the clients who are using Bofix though is that when they actually have that communication and that talk with their business advisors, accountants and bookkeepers, then at that point they've already got up-to-date real-time information. So when they're having that conversation about how do they bring their business back up, do they do it in stages, do they have to consider laying off staff, whatever there's communication, whatever they've got to make a decision about, that is already going to be there for them because they've got the information to make that really nice and easy. And that's all thanks to having real-time information in form of their bookkeeping. And majority of the time it's using QuickBooks Online, and majority of the time it's just a case that both the owner of the business and the business advisor can look at the same bits of information and they can make a decision, they can run budgets, they can get everything up and running so that they can have a nice plan in terms of what's going to happen with their business going forward. But what if you don't have a business advisor? What if you've got to rely on your own bookkeeping and keeping your bookkeeping up to date? Well, this is where I want to go through some top tips with you to make sure that you're prepared in making those decisions, that you're using QuickBooks to the best of its ability so that when it comes down to what you're going to do with your QuickBooks and with your business and how you're going to use QuickBooks to help you, you've got real-time information there so you can make that decision straight away. Let's have a look and see what's going on. So first of all, a word from our sponsor. As you can see there, Bofix. They've been sponsoring us from day one here, and it's all about making sure that from a client's point of view, they feel like their clients have got information at their fingertips. Also, don't forget with Bofix that if you do need a QuickBooks license, they're going to be the best people to get you the best deals on the market. Okay then, so first of all, our first section that we want to look at is how to make sure we get data into QuickBooks as quickly as possible. Now I did a whole video about it, but it was all using that feature Snap Receipt, and it's all related to your mobile phone. Now Snap Receipt, really useful, is basically the idea that if you've got information to put into QuickBooks, don't spend your time sit there individually putting the items in. Just take a photo of those transactions. It could be receipts, it could be invoices, it could be bills, it could be whatever it's going to be. You take a photo of it, QuickBooks will read that for you and then put it into QuickBooks. Using Snap Receipt is going to make your life a lot quicker. So as a reminder, let's have a quick look at where that was held. Again, there's a whole video on this if you want to look in a little bit more detail. But under the receipt section, you can see I've got an example here of two different types of Snap Receipt. The first one is when I've already used my mobile phone. So as you can see here, if I just bring this transaction up, this transaction is taking it from Yo Sushi. It's already brought the £10 in and it's already started to bring the amounts in for me. Also, you have the opportunity to register an email. When you do register an email, you can send that directly to the system, and then it will just start reading it for you, and it will then start taking information out. By far the quickest way of getting information in, and this is what it's all about. For you to have real-time information in your business, you want to be getting data into QuickBooks as quick as possible. The next tip, bank feed. Let's make sure that you have your bank feed up to date. You want it to be saying updated on whatever date that's going to be. Now in QuickBooks, we've had a bit of a change and a bit of move in the way that we've been dealing with bank accounts. And the reason for that is every software has have to compile with something called open banking. And for us to compile with open banking and making sure that we're requirement of it, majority of the time you've had to reconnect your bank account from the old way of doing things and the old way of connecting to the new open banking format. So do not ignore any emails you'll be getting from QuickBooks. Do not ignore any statuses that will be appearing on this screen. For you to get the most information into QuickBooks, you need to have your bank accounts connected to QuickBooks, and then you can make it work for you. Remember all the tips we've been going through on rules and making it work for you in terms of getting the information in? Well, the first hurdle is making sure your bank's connected. So don't forget, we've got the add account option at the top here. And from add account, you're just going to find what bank account it's going to be. So if I went for NatWest, for example, get 1,403 results from the word NAT alone. I click into NatWest, and from there I'm just going to be taken straight to the NatWest website, and I'm going to be able to connect that way. Each bank's different, but majority of the banks, that's exactly how they're done. Get your bank feed done. Next one is bank reconciliation. Now, it doesn't matter what information you've got into QuickBooks, no matter how much data you throw at it, you do need to make sure that that data is as accurate as it's possibly going to be. And one of the simplest and easiest ways to achieve that is making sure your bank reconciliation is done. Now, remember, bank reconciliation is under the Go to Account History and Reconcile. There's various ways you can get there, but remember, Go to Account History and Reconcile is the easiest way. From there, it's going to ask you to match the books to your record. So effectively, you're going to get a copy of your bank statement, and you're going to take that bank statement and you're going to make sure that it's correct on QuickBooks. It even gives you an example of how to reconcile like a pro. So open your statement, match your books, and success, your account is reconciled. Let's do it. If you put your ending balance per your bank statement, you put your ending date, then you're going to have the opportunity to reconcile, and gives you confidence that all the transactions are in QuickBooks. And if you've got a business advisor, that's going to give them confidence that what they're looking at is correct as well. So make sure you reconcile your bank. Reports. Now, reports is where it's all going to happen in terms of making sure you're comfortable with how your business is going. So if I jump into the report section, one of the most useful reports that you'll ever have is something as simple as the business snapshot. Utilising this report on a daily basis or weekly basis, where it's going to be, just going to give you some indication of how your business is doing. Some really easy to use reports here, and looking at the most important parts of your business. The other most important thing for me is profit and loss by month. Now, profit and loss by month, if I just extend that to all dates, just so we can see quite a bit of it, gives you a nice breakdown of how your business is doing. And when it comes to budgeting or cash flow forecasts and everything else, first of all, you need to understand what happened previously. You need to know what your daily or monthly or weekly commitments are going to be in terms of expenditure. And the best thing to do that is have a look at what you incurred in that last year. And this report here is just a nice way of breaking those expenses down so you can understand what things happen on month by month basis. So here I've got my director's salary going through, I've got car leasing costs, I've got printage and postage, I've got motor running expenses and telephone. So when I'm looking at my budget going forward, they're the ones I know I've got to at least consider on a month by month basis, because by looks of it, I'm incurring that cost on a monthly basis. And then using this report, you're going to understand roughly how much that's costing you. So when you look at your budgets, you can start considering it. So make sure you understand your reports. Budgets. Hidden section within QuickBooks is hidden within the company cog section. Under the company cog section, you have the opportunity under tools to go to budgeting. Now, when we go to budgeting here, first of all, it's going to ask you for your first budget, but it's really simple. It's going to walk through what you need to do. So literally press the add budget button. We give the budget a name. We say what financial year we care about. We give it some intervals, so it could be monthly or quarterly, and we can even pre-fill data based on your actual data you've already got. With that, once you create the budget, you then have the opportunity to decide what expenses come in. So maybe you've got some other form of income or expenses you need to worry about. So maybe you've just taken on a new car lease. And you can even press this nice little blue button, and that's going to push that all the way across. This is where you can make this report work really well for you. Once you've gone through and looked at all your budgeting options, you just press save. That's going to save that budget for you on the budget list, and all you need to do now is run a budget versus actual report, and that's going to let you know what your budget was compared to what actually happened, and you can start taking control of expenses and income as they start going. And when you're looking at the next year or 6 months or whatever it's going to be, this is going to be crucial for you. And what I would recommend is start playing with things like locations or classes, so you can start determining which of those costs are actually going to be costs that you can do without, nice to have costs, or costs that you can just forget about for now, or other costs that are completely essential to your business. And if you can start looking at your costs in those sort of silos, you can start deciding which of those costs you can start bringing back into the business when you start getting back on your feet again. And that's where the critical use of data is going to be so important. Most of our clients, and most of the clients I've worked with, are very much in the opinion that they can figure out how their business is going to do in the next month, because they just look at their cash flow in terms of their bank account, how much money is in the bank, what they expect the money to come out. It's much more difficult to predict what's going to happen in 2, 3, 6, 12 months time. And that's where using a budgeting solution like this can make it really easy for you. The next one to consider is thinking about using advanced payroll within QuickBooks. Now, if you have got some employees within that for your business, do think about the benefit of using advanced payroll. The reason for that is the payroll solution within QuickBooks makes it really easy for you to be able to run directly in the same software. It gives your customers, your employees, the right tools in terms of helping them go about their day. They get to book off holiday and things like that. And also it means that if you've got it directly in the system, it's going to make it a lot easier for you to predict what your salary commitments are going to be further down the line. If you are using a third-party software, don't forget that you now have the ability under the import data option to import journal entries. So if you don't have the opportunity to move from your current software, payroll software, to a new payroll software or to QuickBooks Advanced, then do consider importing that information in. This is going to make it easier for you, especially if you've been following the advice that QuickBooks have posted in terms of how to use furloughed employees and put them in different departments and things like that, meaning that those at-risk employees, you can look at how much cost it's going to be to your essential workforce versus your at-risk workforce and see how you can start implementing that then back into the workplace. It's not 100% essential, so with this particular tip, I'm putting a big asterisk next to it and saying, actually, this is completely up to your personal preference, but do at least consider that if you do have a payroll, do think about making sure that that data is in QuickBooks and most complete as it possibly can be. So CashFlow is something that is actually coming soon to QuickBooks. If you head over to their whole area where they're talking about the spring product release, they're talking about how their new CashFlow feature is coming up soon. There is an opportunity for you to have that, especially if you've got an iOS device. That's where the first rollout of this scheme is going to be, and it is something I'd highly recommend that you utilize. A good cash flow forecast is essential at this point. Now, you can just export the reports we were talking about and create your own, or create your own budget, or use the budgeting feature, but the idea of the cash flow forecast coming into play is the ability for you to then understand fully how your business is going to run. If you can't wait for the cash flow forecast to be available within QuickBooks, then do consider going to the apps.com web page, type in the word cash flow, and these are options that are working quite well. Personally, I've used CashFlow Frog before, quite a nice little capable bit of software, and I've used Float before. So both of them are two that I could recommend in terms of helping you make that cash flow work for you. And that's it. At this point in time, it's all about making sure you've got as much data into QuickBooks. Go through some of the videos I've already posted in terms of getting that information into QuickBooks as quick as possible, as efficiently as possible, and then keep on top of it. The whole of this situation is changing day in, day out, and clients are finding it more and more difficult as the time progresses. So give yourself a fighting chance. Make sure you've got that data in the right place, and if not, talk to business advisors who'll be able to help that for you. The guys at Bofix are there to support you if that's what you need, and also you've got plenty of online content like myself to be able to get you through this. Any questions you've got on this, please use the question box below, comment and all that lot. Make sure you sign up for some more tips. I'm going to be looking at things like cash flow forecasts and all that sort of stuff in a lot more detail, but at this moment in time, it's all about getting that data into QuickBooks, giving you the fighting chance and making sure that you've got as much of an opportunity to see how your business is doing, what your business is projected to do going forward, and that way you're going to be in the best possible position. My name's Aaron. I've been here to help you today. Good luck with it all. If you do have any questions, please reach out. And as always, I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.
I say yeah. I told him I can be a fighter if you want. I'll be there to catch you if you fall. I can make it brighter when it's dark. I told him I would do it all for you, and I know you do it for me too. I can be a fighter if you want. I can be a fighter. I can be a fighter if you want. I can be a fighter if you want. All the way that I feel, yeah, I know that it's real, 'cause I can get him out of my head. I don't care what we do, everything's feeling new. Even if we stay in bed, my heart is saying yeah.